What up, Muggles? This is Firebyrd, and I'm here with Opaleye.
Hello.
And you're listening to the Dusty Cauldron, where we talk about all things Harry Potter and the witchy world at large. Today, we're actually going to do an Ickle Firsties episode, and we're going to be back to book number 1. But we're doing a fun twist this time, and I've got Opaleye here who has not seen any of the movies, and so we are actually going to do his predictions, thoughts, questions on the movies instead of the books. And now, before we launch into them, remind me, have you read the books either, or are you completely brand new to Harry Potter?
Completely brand new to Harry Potter. I've seen a meme here once or twice, but nothing that has spoiled anything about the books or the movies.
Awesome. This is so exciting. It's someone like really, truly experiencing Harry Potter for the first time. So we've done some Ickle Firsty episodes with Ridgeback, who's also the producer, and he has seen the movies. So his predictions for the books are like shaded a little bit, right? Because he's not totally new to it. And I mean, Harry Potter memes can be so off the wall that I think that there'll still be a ton of plot stuff that is very surprising to you, even despite having seen memes. I guess you won't be surprised by like what the characters look like, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had some time to think about what you think you might see in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone / Harry Potter the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on what country you're from. What are you thinking about pre-movie viewing?
Okay, so I'm me myself. I'm a D&D player, Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm wondering if any of the wizards who will be in the movie will end up using spells that aren't just cast with wands, or if the wands are their only means of casting spells.
That's a really cool question. And also, as a fellow RPG player, I'm very into the fact that you play D&D.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have other thoughts?
Well, I was wondering if any like famous magical artifacts of the sorts, maybe like you said, the Philosopher's Stone, or just any kind of historical kind of supposedly magical artifact could be in the movie as well.
That's really cool. That's an interesting prediction. Do you think that if you were going to try to guess what Philosopher's Stone / Sorcerer's Stone was as an artifact, if it were an artifact, what would you think it would be?
Like its properties or what it could do, or
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm a bit of a history buff, and from what I've researched, I think it has some sort of healing property to it. I'm not sure exactly.
Cool.
I think it was a healing property, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I know that it has some other properties to it. I've just forgotten. It's been a while.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really interesting to talk about that part after you've seen the movie. I'm curious how much, as like just experiencing it as like something that's going on in pop culture, how familiar are you with the concept of like Hogwarts houses?
I know that there's Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Gryffindor, but that's the only ones that I know, or that's all of them.
That's all of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you after you watch the movie which house you think that you would be sorted into, and then maybe before because I'm assuming that we'll end up doing like the next movie as well. Maybe before we do that one, we'll have you actually like take a test and see where it places you. But I'm interested to see once you watch the movie, like which house you identify the most with. I'm going to tell you before you watch the movie, and hope that you don't judge me because they are portrayed in a very certain way in the films, but I am a Slytherin that you're talking to right now. But you're friends with Stray, who's also a Slytherin, so I feel like you probably understand that they're not as evil as maybe the Gryffindors think that they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then Ridgeback, who's here with us while we're recording, he's a Hufflepuff. So you've got like a mix that you're working with today.
All right.
Okay. Did you have any other thoughts before you go off to watch the movie?
I was wondering if there would be any sort of mythological creatures like Greek mythology, like a griffin, or maybe other mythological creatures like Medusa or stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to spoil it. I will tell you just broadly that there is a course at Hogwarts that relates to like magical creatures, but I'm not going to tell you if first years attend it or if you see anything in the book about it or the movie about it for the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, so what will happen is you're going to watch the movie. We'll come back. We'll do a little like time travel magic. And so it'll all be in the same episode. But once you've seen the movie, we'll come back and talk about what your thoughts were before and what your thoughts are after. And if any of these things that you're wondering about get answered. And then one thing I would be interested to know as well from the first movie, once you've watched it, who is your favorite character in the first movie?
All right.
Perfect.
I'll have to write that down then.
Okay. Yeah, good call. See you soon. Are you passionate about nature preservation and care of magical creatures? We're seeking a compassionate individual capable of meeting the physical and psychological needs of the exotic and mysterious residents of the Romanian Dragon Sanctuary. This position will be stationed primarily in the hatchery, so a delicate hand is required for rearing dragon wormlings until they can be safely released into their dragon enclosures. A dragonologist certification is required. Competitive pay and benefits package provided with free housing supplied on site. Owl us today to request an interview. And we're back. Opaleye just finished watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And so we're going to talk about some of the predictions that you made before watching the movie and see how you feel now that you have been officially introduced to the Harry Potter film franchise. So one of the first predictions that you made before watching it was wondering if the wizards will end up casting spells with their hands, using hand gestures, and not just wands. So what did you think after watching the movie?
I don't think I saw too much of wand casting or just magic without wands. Maybe there will be something like that in the future. But so far, the wands and the wizards fit the theme of just, needing to cast magic with a wand.
Yeah, I think that you'll see some growth in how people are able to do spellcasting as we sort of age with the characters and move through the movie series. But I definitely don't think there was a lot of that seen in book one. And it's sort of interesting, and maybe it's tied to having some semblance of control of like young children that are first coming into their magic. But it does seem like funneling control into the wand can limit the volatility of magical use in general.
Mm-hmm.
You had also said that you were hoping to see some sort of mythology representation, maybe Greek or otherwise, incorporated into some aspects of the movie, whether it be through animals or magic. How did you feel about what you saw related to that?
Well, there were definitely dragons. There was Cerberus, I forget the name, that was guarding the trapdoor.
Fluffy.
So I was excited to see mythological creatures in the movie itself.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to see like a different, more kid-friendly version of a Cerberus, right? Because we didn't deal with anything related to what happens if you try to attack it, or if it were to lose one of its heads, like what sort of happens with that. So I liked that it was very kid-friendly because we are dealing with 11-year-old wizards.
Yeah, it's just put it to sleep and it'll be fine. That's it.
Yeah, just play it a lullaby. Everything will be A-okay, which sounds right on par for an animal that was raised by Hagrid.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Right.
Yeah. What did you think of Hagrid?
Hagrid, I think he is a gentle giant. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that he can't, what's the word? He tends to let things slip.
Yeah, you can't keep a secret very well.
Yeah. I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
Yeah. Okay. You said that it would be cool to see a magical artifact such as the Philosopher's Stone in the movie, along with maybe other artifacts from different eras. Do you feel like you got any of that in the first film?
Well, obviously there was the Philosopher's Stone, so I was happy to see that. And the fact that it kind of kept in line with what real life mythological facts about the Philosopher's Stone say, like, gives someone immortality, and it has these other magical properties to it. Even then, there were still magical artifacts in the movie that weren't just the Philosopher's Stone, or even based on real life artifacts. They're still cool.
Yeah. And I feel like it's sort of implied, right? Like, we don't talk about it, but technically there's magical artifacts all over Hogwarts. Like, we're just sort of seeing them in passing as the film is moving through the school, which I thought was like a nice immersive thing to have, like these pieces of English wizarding history just kind of in the background.
Yeah.
If there were one that you were going to pick that you really want to see show up in one of the movies, what might that be?
Now that's a tough question.
I think if I was going to pick one that, like, say I was coming in, I don't know what we're going to see, but I want to see something show up, I would want to see Excalibur.
Excalibur can definitely be it's definitely a probable option, since it is an English wizarding school.
Mm-hmm.
So, the King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table, Merlin is definitely a possibility.
Yeah. That actually leads really well into the other prediction that you had made that you were hoping to see in the movie, which would be that it would be interesting to see some historical fantasy figures, or at least references to them, such as Merlin or someone like that. How did you feel about that?
It was interesting to see, and learning, obviously, from Hermione and all her wonderful facts. That there are historical figures like King Arthur, and there was another one, but I forgot the name.
So I do think with the chocolate frog cards, we get a few introduced. I know Merlin was on there. I think that we get a reference to a Morgana card. I don't know that we see one, but it's talked about. And Agrippa is another one. So I kind of liked the nod to sort of magical lore that exists outside of the Harry Potter franchise through that little trading card game that comes with the candies.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty neat feature as well. It was just a nice way to throw a nod at those people, and how it's just little trading cards. It's just something simple as trading cards.
Yeah. And
how apparently Ron has 6 of them.
Right. But think about like getting Pokemon cards or even Magic the Gathering cards. Like, I feel like there are some cards that are just so common that every time you buy a pack, it's going to have one in it. So that like resonated with me.
Oh yeah, no, that happens way too often.
Yeah. Didn't they at one point have a Harry Potter trading cards? Like, I feel like that was a thing. I never bought them, but I'll have to look into that after we record, because maybe that I always do like a picture that is somehow associated with the episode on our Instagram, and maybe I could like have some of the trading cards as a picture or something. That could be fun. Okay, so then the last prediction that you had made was just sort of pondering if the animals, like animal familiars, would be present and accompany wizards, and if they'd be different according to like the persona of any given character. Did you feel like you got some representation of that?
I feel like I got a bit, yeah, because in Dungeons and Dragons, familiars can come in 2 types of ways, either physically or spiritually. And it was a requirement, I assume at least, that you had, it was a toad, an owl, or a cat. So I feel like that was part of, having your animal familiar. But I don't know if that's, because I know Patronus, your Patronus exists, but I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. You're a few movies away from that one so far. I did feel like we get like an idea of the concept through like seeing McGonagall's animagus form. So like it's like she's her own animal familiar, but sort of same idea where it's based on personality and all of that. I'm really interested to talk to you more about Patroni when we get to like the third movie, and I think there'll be more opportunity further into the movies, because I have a really interesting thing I'd like to talk about when people have matching Patroni. But if we tried to have that conversation right now, you would have absolutely no idea what I was talking about. So now that you've been introduced to Harry Potter, I know that you got the opportunity to get sorted and find out what your Patronus is and find out what your wand is. And so I was wondering if you wanted to share that in this episode.
Sure. So I did this little test on this, I think it was called the Harry Potter Fan Club. And, it asked me a bunch of questions, and the first set of questions was sorting me into my house. The second set of questions was seeing what kind of wand I would have, or what kind of wand would fit me. And the third set of questions was, less questions, or picking a word in a very fast manner. Gave me a Patronus.
Okay.
I was sorted into the Slytherin house.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. And I was given a black walnut. Was it walnut or chestnut wand?
I think it was black walnut.
Yeah, black walnut wand. With it was dragon string heart core or something like that.
Yeah, dragon heartstrings.
Yeah, dragon heartstring core. So that's interesting. And even more interestingly, my Patronus ended up being a dragon.
This is perfect. One, it pairs so well with your wand. But two, we have every guest pick a nickname, and we ended up giving you a dragon name. So it's like we were telling the future when we made that decision.
You've been taking divination classes.
Yeah. We sort of offline had a conversation, because he had shared with some other Harry Potter friends like where he'd been sorted and what wand he'd gotten and all of that. And they were giving him a hard time that that was the indications of a dark wizard. And so I just wanted to point out about like the wand wood in particular, that while black walnut is less common than maybe a standard walnut wand, there's nothing dark about it. It's a very powerful wand, and it does say that with the combination of a dragon heartstring and black walnut, of the given choices, it maybe has an easier time going towards dark magic. But I would just like to point out that the dragon heartstring is being compared to a phoenix, which is lawful neutral or lawful good, and a unicorn, which is lawful good. So of course, as the only neutral good in the group, it's going to have an easier time going dark. It doesn't mean that it is dark. And so I just thought that was interesting. But it's this sort of the same thing where Slytherin gets a representation of if you're sorted into Slytherin, you're automatically a dark wizard. And that's not the case. Yes, there have been dark wizards in Slytherin, but there has also been light wizards in Slytherin.
Yeah.
Do you have any...
That was another interesting thing I found in the movie, which was how the main... the main group just kind of thought Snape was behind it all, and in the end, Snape was just, he was trying to protect him just behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. That's the theme. You're going to see that throughout the series. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, Muggles. If you're joining for more witchy goodness between episodes, you can check us out on Instagram at Dusty Cauldron Podcast, or you can email us at dustycauldronpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can check us out at the dustycauldronpodcast.com website. You can subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening if you want to hear more. And remember, there's never a bad time to start watching the Harry Potter movies or reading the Harry Potter books. And they can bring a little light and joy into your life, even if you have to practice separating the art from the artist in order to do that. And don't forget to stir whatever you've got brewing in your cauldron right now. Bye!